Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Hi, welcome, Chaotic Entry. Welcome back. I'm glad that you're here with me. Today I want to talk about reincorporating movement and setting new movement goals for myself whilst traveling. I'm sure maybe you've heard, probably, of 75 Hard. First off, I had no idea what it was. I did not do any research until I was like, that sounds like, 75 days feels like a good time. 75 days feels like a good amount of time to get into the habit of something and really get the habits to stick. I feel like every time I've seen 75 Hard, I've never actually watched a video. I've only kind of heard it peripherally, if you will. And I feel like I've seen people doing different things. 75 Hard, like art edition or something, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just making this up, honestly. But let me tell you, when I Googled it, it's not what I thought that it was. I thought it was a way more flexible. I don't know why I would think it's flexible hard's in the name. But anyway, I thought it was a less stringent thing than it was. So I don't think 75 Hard is what I'm going for. But I do think I want to do a 75 sustainable, because the point for me is that I, as I mentioned in my first video, was a competitive boxer and dancer, / still am a dancer. But still boxer too. But I haven't been practicing boxing. So I have gone through years of my life when I was competitively boxing. Fit as a kit in a pit. Don't even know what that means, but I was fit. Your girl, she had back muscles. And my girlies at home who know how hard it is to develop back muscles. And I didn't do it intentionally. It's just from the ways in which you turn over for your punches that engage certain parts of your back that then apparently form muscles. I miss her so much. But it's okay. I love the version and the body that takes care of me right now. Very grateful for her. She's very amazing. She's still toned. She still does strong girl things, even though I haven't been training her. So that's the point of this video, is that as chaotic as this has all been, self-implied, so scared. Your girl is no stranger to discipline. Your girl is no stranger to working out. If you've ever met a boxer, you know discipline has to be built within them too, especially if you've ever known a competitive boxer. If you have friends who are boxing for funsies, we love that, honestly, because I love, especially if your friends are femme, I love how empowering boxing feels. And if it's simply for fitness, if you're going out and you're doing that thing, I love the confidence that builds, the empowerment. We love. But no. This is, in particular, if you've ever known a boxer who's a competitive boxer, discipline has to be something that is within them. They have to acquire it if it's not within them, because you cannot compete in boxing without without discipline. You have to eat clean, you have to make weight, you have to train every single day, you have to spar. Oh my. And then if you're somebody who has ovaries and once a month you are going through it and you're bleeding in more ways than one because sparring. Yeah, no. This one. So going back to the point, 75 Hard is not it's not something that I'm incapable of doing by any way, shape, or form. Is that not something within my grasp? Well aware that it's something that I can do. However, traveling solo, now I'm renting a space, which will be a fun story for another video. But normally I am in a dorm, and those dorms can range from 10 other people to 14 other people to 19 other people, and the shared spaces, and also the climate of the places that I'm staying in range and vary, and so do gym prices. And when you are traveling solo and you are not working actively, or you don't have a consistent income, paying for a gym isn't always a viable option. So going to a gym isn't always a viable option. And so 75 Hard, while it would be something that I could definitely do while I'm back home, it is something that is not necessarily sustainable or aligned with the lifestyle that I'm leading eating. Is there something that I know that I don't know? It's not sustainable to the life that I'm leading right now. So we're going to do a 75 sustainable. I can't do a 70. Good fun. Oh no, that was backwards to you all. 75. Thank you for being here. I want to recommit to movement while I'm traveling because something that I know that I love to do to take care of myself is to move my body. And I love feeling strong. Love feeling strong. And when there's a lot of movement, in terms of like literally moving from place to place, like Buenos Aires to Patagonia to Rio, and Rio I've been here for a bit, but I've been moving within Rio, it just makes it much harder. So I thought, why not figure out how to do this in a way that's sustainable? So your girl sat down and she set some goals. So I'm essentially going to ask that you be my accountability buddy, and maybe you join me. Maybe it's something that is within your reach as well, or maybe you just want to see how your girlie does. But yeah, so let's go through what I just said my 75 sustainable would be. 75 hard had 5 rules, which I appreciate because it is pretty easy to remember. Like there's only 5 things to kind of check off. And so I thought, okay, let's kind of model after what the 75 hard is, except make it something that actually feels aligned to me and sustainable. Sustainable is a key word. What's the key word? Pop quiz. What's the key word? That's right. It's sustainable. Look at us with our little Dora moment. Okay, 75 sustainable. So my 5 things are: 1, I want to eat intuitively. The 75 hard version, I think, was like strict diet or some shit. And when you like you can't eat, or you can eat, you can't drink, and it says like no cheating, which felt like what do you mean? Anyway, whatever. I just want to be so clear. I'm not knocking 75 hard because when I started to research and I saw people like going through and doing it, I love that they like truly stuck through something that was difficult and saw it through because they saw themselves already, like they had already gleaned and seen the version of themselves at the end of the 75 days and committed to it and committed to that vision and saw it through every single day. So I want to be super clear. Oops. Yeah. I'm hungry, you all. I'm sorry. I want to be clear that I am not throwing any shade at 75 hard at all, because especially if you did it, we love kudos. But for me, it didn't really make sense, and some of the language I felt judgy, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. So here's my version. So rule 1 for me and you, if you want to join it. If you join, oh my gosh, please let me know in the comments. Rule 1 is going to be to eat intuitively. So for me, what that looks like is responding to my body's wants, eating when my body feels hungry, as opposed to a certain allotted time of the day that like I feel that I need to eat at. Now, granted, again, we've mentioned I'm not on a work schedule right now, and I normally volunteer, so that would normally also influence potentially when I eat. Right now I'm not, so it'll allow me to better eat in the moments that feel responsive to my body, as opposed to like, oh, this is my allotted lunch break. And I think about when I was a teacher and like when we had lunch breaks before noon. My little sister is also going into education because I'm an inspiration. She's gone into education, so we are sending all of the fuerte and apapachos, like all this esfuerzo to her because she's gonna do great. We love it. But she works with early childhood right now, and her lunch breaks are at 10 a.m. And I know because I'm on her DoorDash and I get the notifications when her lunch is delivered at 10 a.m. Anyway, okay, so I understand all of that to say I understand some of us have schedules that we cannot get around. I would say if you plan to join me on this, if possible, packing yourself snacks to kind of like eat intuitively, or maybe eating intuitively looks like during the time that you're working, you are given that a lot of time, so you do eat then, but you eat only what your body needs in that moment. So if your lunch is at 10 a.m., sorry, Sister Vista, if your lunch is at 10 a.m., instead of forcing your body to eat like an entire meal that it may not be wanting in that moment, eating exactly what your body wants and nothing more, and maybe just have snacks throughout the day. Again, eating, responding to your body's needs of when you're hungry. But so that's what that looks like for me. Rule number one is I will be eating intuitively. I'll be responding to my body's wants. I'm going to aim for whole foods and specifically home cooking, which will help also with cost of living here. I've been cooking home a lot, which has been really nice. I've missed it quite a bit. Honestly, the drinking, I'm in Rio, living my best life. My birthday's coming up. And also, like I said, discipline. As a boxer, like I would not drink a lick of alcohol while I was training for months. And so again, like it's not something I'm not capable of doing, but I don't want to feel that I'm restricting myself. So instead, just being intentional, listening to my body and eating intuitively, and that includes the drinking piece of it. I'm like, I want a beer. That at first, that doesn't happen often to me. If I want a beer, I'm going to give myself the pleasure of having that beer. I'm only living in this body this one time, and it's such a finite amount of time. If my body wants a beer, I'm going to have a beer, and I'm not going to judge myself about it. Also, I guess it's worth noting, my 75 sustainable isn't meant for me to lose a crap ton of weight or to like get to a certain figure. It's far less about what I physically appear. And again, I don't want to like just throw that that's what the 75 hard is on, but one of the aspects of that is to take power sodas every single day. So it does give the impression that ultimately the goal is some type of visual, tangible change, which again, beautiful. Love the people who are able to stick through that and who did that for their health and their well-being, and who feel like that's something aligned to them. In this moment, it's not aligned to me. So that's one, eating intuitively. And that is responding to my body's wants, aiming for whole foods, cooking at home, drinking what feels. I don't really drink pop or anything. I mostly drink water. So if I'm drinking alcohol, again, if it feels aligned when I feel it and not simply because other people are doing it. 2, daily movement. So that can range from walking to calisthenics, which is something that I started doing before I left and then like kind of let go of as I've been traveling. And now I'm wanting to get back into, because calisthenics is all about doing exercises with your own body and your own body weight. Maybe some small instruments like a resistance band if you have one, or a chair. It's not like something you need to go to a gym for, which is why I lean towards it. And I also feel it's going to be a really cool way to connect to my body at another level. So daily movement, it could be walking, it could be because maybe it's just a day where I'm exploring all of Rio and I'm walking a ton, and I don't want that to feel like, oh, I did do movement for a day, curly pop. If I walked, you also don't know how much I walk everywhere. I've walked like 15 miles a day multiple times on this trip, and I've been on this trip since the end of October. Like, your girl puts in the work, she puts in the steps. So whether it's walking, whether it's calisthenics, whether it's dance and freestyle movement, somatic healing type things, whatever it is, if I'm moving my body, that is all that I need from me, because my body really appreciates movement. And then I'm aiming for 3 times a week of doing a proper workout. So doing a proper calisthenics workout, maybe it's yoga, maybe I try something new and do Pilates, or maybe it's going back to basics for me and doing boxing workouts. So eating intuitively, moving my body daily, and aiming for 3 times a week proper workouts. The third one I kept kind of the same, but I mean, gallon of water is a very US based measurement. So, and I'm not in the US and haven't been in a while, and everything here is on the metric system, which makes sense. Just get it together, US. I will be doing 3 liters a day of water. That is a measurement that makes more sense for me while I'm here. The other one that I kept the same generally was number 4 is reading 10 pages of nonfiction a day, which I love. I might make that more flexible. I might just read 10 pages, something that brings me joy a day. I have been reading a lot of nonfiction in general, so it might still fall under that, but I do love me. I grew up a fiction girly, so if I find like a scrumptious novel that I want to be reading also, I'm not going to be judgy to myself for reading something that allows me to still learn and engage in empathy. previous literature teacher here. And finally, the fifth one was taking a progress picture. You're supposed to do that daily. I haven't quite decided if I want to take progress photos, but I do know that I want to journal at the end of every single day. And whether that's sharing gratitude, whether that's sharing how I feel that this practice has been going, whatever that looks like, I do want to get back into that because I feel that I've been the most mentally well when I journaled consistently. And so that's my 5. So to recap, my 75 sustainable that I will be engaging in starting today, the day that I release this, because I still have content and stuff to get through in the next 48 hours and editing and stuff. So I don't want to put that extra load onto me. My 75 sustainable looks like 1, eating intuitively, so responding to my body's needs, making sure that I'm aiming for whole foods, home cooking, drinking when it feels aligned and when it's something that I want, as opposed to just because it's something to do or because what maybe other people are doing. Daily movement, and that can range from walking to calisthenics and aiming for 3 times a week of a proper workout. Drinking 3 liters of water every day. Reading 10 pages of nonfiction a day, potentially fiction if that feels aligned that day. And finally, journaling at the end of every single day. We'll decide if I want to do progress photos or not, and you all can chime in the comments. But yeah, I'm really excited about doing this for myself because I truly do love movement and feeling strong, and I know it's something my body craves and really enjoys, and I'm hoping that doing this 75 sustainable puts me in a space where this is now like a practice and I don't have to think about it, and it's something that I'm simply consistently doing, and that builds the sustainable aspect of it. Yeah, let me know what y'all think. If you've done the 75 hard or any version of it, I'd love to know more about it because, again, I did some basic research, and when I realized it wasn't what I thought it was and thus not aligned to what I was looking for, I kind of just stopped. But I would love to hear if you've done it, or if you are intrigued by this and would like to do it and join me. I would love to have a support group, a little community here. As always, besitos, beijinhos, and I'll see you in the next one.